Let's go into a deeper dive on paraverbals. And the reason why I want to do this is because we talk about emphasizing words or phrases. And I think that the main thing that we think about when we do that is elongating the word, which works, but that's just one way to go do that. That's not necessarily the best way. Sometimes it is, but not always, right? When I say elongate a word, by the way, I'm saying an example is the only reason I'm stopping by, right? So you're making the word longer, elongating it. Let's go into a couple different components. So you got volume. That's one of the big ones, right? So you can either increase your volume or decrease it. And increasing that emphasizes it really well. The decreasing it brings the customer in just a little bit. So when you're talking to them and you're going through it and look, the only reason I'm stopping by, everyone's been getting a ton of the cockroaches and obviously the little black ants. But anyways, if I can fit you guys in, I'm doing it really cheap. Does that make sense? So it just brings them in a little bit more. Or look, if I can fit you in, I'm taking $200 off the initial service. I'll do that first one for just $149. That's still for everything. So that's volume. Now let's look at pace. And you actually just saw it a little bit of what I just did. It's slowing down for the keywords, the key things that you want them to hear. And you can speed up a little bit more for the filler words, which a lot of times if you get to the agreement and they say, oh, I had no idea this was a contract, or I had no idea that there were other treatments, it's usually because you're doing this incorrectly, right? It means that you are actually speeding up during that part, whether you're nervous or whatever it is, which means that you're covering it up. So the way that I like to do it is normally for a house your size, right? That can be faster. Normally for a house your size, my initial service is at least $349. After that, I come out every other month for just $159. But look, if I can fit you in while I'm already out here, I can take $200 off that initial service. Do that first one for just $149. And that's still for everything. Hopefully that makes sense. So you can go change the pace. Your goal it's not just a black and white. That's what I want you to understand. Your principles, they all go in together in different ways. So if you're using pace, sometimes you speak faster, sometimes you speak slower, and it allows you to disregard the things that are more filler words, the things that aren't necessary to be at the forefront of their mind, but you still need it as context. Another one is pauses. Pauses, probably one of the most effective things that you can go do. Also, one of the biggest reasons why rookies struggle. Because if you pause in the wrong place, then you're guaranteed to get interrupted. And if you pause too many times, then it sounds like you are having a full essay, right? So it just takes way too long to go through it. So it's like the first thing I have to do is treat the yard. That sounds ridiculous. It's so hard to listen to. So look, the first thing I have to do is treat the yard, because if you don't treat the yard, you will never get rid of the nesting sites of the ants and the ticks. So that use of pauses can't use it all the time. Otherwise it's not effective, right? And me having that pause before or afterwards changes it. So when I said you using it too many times is not effective, then that pause beforehand, the words that stay in your mind is not effective, right? Next one is enunciation. So we've talked about the word because and the power of the word because. This is one where I don't necessarily emphasize it in terms of elongating it. I actually for sure don't elongate the word because. But if you can enunciate it and then you have more relaxed words otherwise, that makes it a lot more effective. So an example of that is, I need to sweep around your entire roof line as well as every window and door. It looks good, but the reason I do that is because, and you can go enunciate it a little bit more, is because that's the only way to keep the spiders from crawling up and getting back inside the house, right? So I'm not saying that is because that is the only way to keep the spiders from crawling up and getting back inside your house. If you enunciate every single word, you sound crazy. I get that. I think in movies they say, over enunciation of your pronunciation. That's how you make sure that when you're singing or whatever it is. I'm not a theater, so never mind, disregard that. The next part is your pitch. So the pitch, and this is semantics. This is how I'm going to explain it, because you have your pitch and your tone. So your pitch is just a part of it, right? So what are you doing today? What are you doing today? Up, down, right? The pitch, that's just one part of it. Up tone is talking like this the entire time, and you're talking at a higher octave. Usually when you have an up tone, you just have a massive throbbing headache at the end of the day. Pitch is, if you keep consistently doing that and you're not doing it in the right places, it sounds like you don't have any confidence. Now, let's look at how I just used that. I just said, if you don't use it in the right places, up pitch, it sounds like you don't have very much confidence. So, is it black and white? Should you not have up pitches? No, that is not the case. It is when you do use it. So, when you get stuck in this whole, I'm going through this whole roadmap, I'm going through this pitch, you just say a full run-on sentence. Now, if it's a comma and you're halfway through a sentence, then it's going to be an up pitch, right? So if it's a comma and you're halfway through a sentence, then it's going to be an up pitch. And then they ended with the down pitch, right? So what I would do is just make it so that it is the end of the sentence, rather than, my name's Tanner, I'm with Moxie Pest Control, because what you're doing is a comma, because you're trying not to be interrupted, you're trying to finish your sentence. So my name's Tanner, I'm with Moxie Pest Control. The only reason I'm stopping by is because everyone's beginning to spy, right? And it just doesn't sound very good. So my name is Tanner. I'm out here with Moxie Pest Control. The only reason I'm stopping by, up pitch, because that is an actual comma, right? Is because everyone's been getting the spiders and the wasps enunciation. If I can fit you in, I'm doing it cheap. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's pitch, that's tone. The inflection is a version of that within your sentences. So let's use an example, because it changes what the emphasis of the statement is. He asked me to go to the store. Now that's one version. He asked me to go to the store. He asked me to go to the store. He asked me to go to the store. See how those are all different? So there's not actually even emotion with it. It's just who is the main subject, right? So he asked me to go to the store versus he asked me to go to the store. Like not anybody else. He asked me to go to the store. So it just changes based on the inflection within the sentence, which is utilizing pitch, but it's just a different inflection, right? The two last things I want to talk about, one is just like the rhythm, the singing part of it. This can be good and bad. I'm just going to tell you the general principle of it. Sometimes we get caught into this. The first thing I have to do when I come out is treat the yard. Because if you don't treat the yard, then you'll never get rid of the ants and the ticks. The second thing I have to do, and it's just da-da, 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 doesn't usually sound the best. If you can get rhythm in terms of speed, that can work. And it's utilizing pace and speed and volume and things like that. But you don't want the singing voice. Rarely does that sound good. And I say rarely just in case I'm missing a situation, but I don't think I've really ever heard it sound good. The last one is, I'm going to say emotional coloring. So essentially, you're adding emotion with your paraverbals to what you're saying. And when this matches, it sounds a lot better. So an example of it is warranty. Let's use that actually. If I just go through the warranty and I say, look, the best part is if you see anything in between treatments, give me a call and I'll come back out for free and retreat. Sounds confident. Sounds fine. No emotion, right? So when I'm going over the agreement, emotional coloring is what is the color, what is the emotion of the first two parts versus the last part. So I say the first part just talks about the first 12 months I'll be treating your home. Monotone. Second part just says that if you choose to discontinue within 12 months, all I ask for is 80% of whatever's remaining in the agreement back. After that, you don't owe me anything. Last part's the best part. So I guarantee it. So if you see anything between treatments, especially in this area, the carpenter bees, you give me a call and I'll come back out for free and retreat. And I just need your initials here, here, and then autograph. Now, the point of it is don't speak quickly. You're not speaking fast to just cover it up. You need them to hear that. You want them to hear that because that is important. You're signing them up. They need to know what they're signing up for. You're not going to go sound enthusiastic about it, right? So it's the coloring of it. But if you're saying this is the best part, and your tone is, yeah, this is the best part about my services. Everything I use is kid and pet friendly. Not as, I don't know, selling, right? Because we're energy. We're passing on to the energy. When they're buying from us is because like they're feeling the energy and the excitement. And so emotional coloring, especially used in the correct places, changes everything. In looking at all these, this is a high level, like just breaking down all the different parts of the paraverbals. Go look at how to go emphasize certain things. Go look at when to speed up and when to slow down, because the truth is, it is not a black and white. You should always do this or always do that. Always speak loud or always speak slowly or whatever it is. It just depends, right? Hopefully this was helpful. Go practice, go pay attention to it. The best thing, in my opinion, if you're trying to go improve your paraverbals, is to record yourself, because you won't really know how you sound until you do that. And if you say, I don't really like the way I sound, so I don't want to record myself, more reason to, right? Have a good one, guys.